The moment Eliza caught her husband and her assistant locked in an embrace in her own office, something inside her shattered beyond repair. 10 years of marriage dissolved in an instant as she stood frozen in the doorway, her promotion letter clutched so tightly in her hand that it crumpled into nothing, just like her future had. She'd sacrificed everything for this life, postponed having children, worked 80-hour weeks, and supported James through medical school, only to discover that while she was building their dream, he was dismantling it affair by affair. How long? The words escaped her lips as tears streamed down her face. The silence that followed told her everything she needed to know. This wasn't the first time. The revelation hit her like a physical blow. She could lose not just her marriage but her reputation at the firm if this scandal broke. Worse still, at 38, had she thrown away her chance at the family she'd secretly always wanted? As James stammered through excuses, a more haunting question emerged: had she ever truly known the man she married? Eliza moved out that night, taking only what fit in her car. The prestigious corner office that had once represented everything she'd worked for now felt like a prison of memories. When her new client, Michael Bennett, walked in for their first meeting, she barely registered his presence. Single father, tech startup founder, needed legal help with expansion plans, just another file on her overflowing desk. But when he mentioned his daughter's dance recital that evening with such genuine pride, something stirred within her. "You should go," she found herself saying, surprising them both. "The contract review can wait until tomorrow." Michael tilted his head, studying her with unexpected perception. "Actually, why don't you come with me? 7-year-olds performing Swan Lake is surprisingly therapeutic." Was it professional? Absolutely not. Was it exactly what she needed? Somehow, yes. The elementary school auditorium was nothing like the opera houses James had dragged her to for appearances. Yet watching Michael's daughter Emma twirl in a slightly lopsided tutu brought the first genuine smile to Eliza's face in weeks. When Emma spotted her father and waved enthusiastically mid-pirouette, nearly toppling over, Eliza found herself laughing, actually laughing, for the first time since everything fell apart. But as they walked to the parking lot afterward, Emma skipping ahead, Michael's phone rang. The color drained from his face as he answered. "When?" he asked, his voice tight. "I'll be right there." He hung up, looking at Eliza with panic in his eyes. "Emma's mother is back. She's at my house right now, after 3 years of complete silence. She wants custody." The drive to Michael's house was tense, with Emma chattering happily in the back seat, unaware of the storm brewing. Eliza's legal mind was already cataloging facts: 3 years of abandonment, no child support, no contact. But her heart ached for the little girl who might soon have her world turned upside down. Michael's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched so tight she could see a muscle twitching. "I can wait in the car with Emma," Eliza offered quietly as they pulled into the driveway of a modest but well-kept craftsman home. A sleek red convertible sat in the driveway, looking wildly out of place. Michael shook his head. "No. I might need a witness. And Emma should see that I'm not hiding anything from her." His voice broke slightly. "I've always promised her honesty." The woman who opened the door before they could even knock was everything Eliza wasn't: willowy, blonde, with the kind of effortless beauty that seemed designed for Instagram filters. But her eyes were hard, calculating, and they narrowed when she saw Eliza standing behind Michael. "Mommy?" Emma's small voice cut through the tension like a knife. Vanessa, that was her name, Eliza learned, crouched down with practiced grace. "Look how big you've gotten, princess. Mommy's missed you so much." Emma didn't run to her. Instead, she pressed herself against her father's leg, suddenly shy. The rejection was subtle but unmistakable, and Eliza saw the flash of irritation cross Vanessa's perfect features before she masked it with a smile. What followed was 2 hours of the most excruciating conversation Eliza had ever witnessed. Vanessa had gotten clean, though her constantly checking her phone and fidgeting suggested otherwise. She had a new boyfriend with connections, which seemed to translate to a wealthy older man who had bought her the convertible. She wanted to be a family again, though she spoke more about the private school she wanted to enroll Emma in than about Emma herself. When Emma was finally sent to her room to play, the real agenda emerged. My boyfriend's production company is launching a reality show about blended families, Vanessa explained, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. We could all be set for life, Michael. Emma would have everything. Michael's face had gone completely blank. You want to use our daughter as a reality TV prop? Don't be so dramatic. Kids love cameras. And the settlement from your company's IPO would make for a great storyline, rags to riches, you know? Eliza felt her blood run cold. The IPO was confidential information, not yet public. Either Vanessa had connections who were feeding her insider information, or she'd been having Emma followed. Either way, it was clear this wasn't about motherly love. I think you should leave, Michael said quietly. Vanessa's smile turned brittle. I have rights, Michael. I'm her mother. You're a woman who walked out on a 4-year-old and hasn't sent so much as a birthday card in 3 years, he replied, his voice steady despite the emotion Eliza could see building behind his eyes. And if you think any judge will give you custody for a reality TV stunt, you're delusional. We'll see about that. Vanessa stood, smoothing her designer dress. My lawyer will be in touch. And you might want to consider how it'll look when I tell the court you're shacking up with your attorney. She cast a dismissive glance at Eliza before sauntering out, leaving behind only the cloying scent of expensive perfume and the wreckage of Michael's peace of mind. That night, after Emma had finally fallen asleep, Michael and Eliza sat on his back porch, the cool evening air doing little to calm their nerves. She can't win, can she? He asked, his voice small in a way that made Eliza's heart contract painfully. No, Eliza said firmly, though the lawyer in her new family court could be unpredictable. But we need to be prepared. And I should probably refer you to another attorney. Michael's head snapped up. What? Why? Because Vanessa wasn't entirely wrong. There's a conflict of interest here. I'm too involved. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken feelings. Finally, Michael reached across the space between them and took her hand. Is that what we're calling it? Involved? Eliza looked down at their intertwined fingers. I don't know what we're calling it. I just know that 10 days ago, my life imploded. I'm not exactly in the best place to make decisions about whatever this is. Fair enough, he said softly. But I know what it is for me. It's the first time since Emma's mother left that I've felt like maybe, just maybe, I could trust someone again. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal maneuvers and emotional landmines. True to her word, Vanessa filed for custody, hiring a shark of a lawyer who specialized in high-profile divorces. Eliza, despite her better judgment, couldn't bring herself to abandon Michael and Emma. Instead, she brought in a colleague to be the attorney of record while she consulted on the case. The investigation into Vanessa's life revealed what they had suspected. Her sobriety was questionable at best, her relationship with her wealthy boyfriend volatile, and her interest in Emma directly proportional to the potential reality TV deal. But she was still Emma's biological mother, and in the eyes of family court, that carried weight. Meanwhile, Eliza's own life was unraveling in different ways. James had contested their divorce, claiming that her affair with a client was the real cause of their marriage's demise. The irony might have been amusing if it hadn't threatened everything she'd worked for. The firm's partners called her in for a meeting where words like professional conduct and firm reputation were thrown around like weapons. You need to decide where your priorities lie, Eliza, the managing partner told her, his disappointment evident. This firm has invested a great deal in your future. That night, as she sat alone in her sterile apartment surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, Eliza found herself doing something she hadn't done since she was a child. She made a list of what truly mattered to her. Career, security, reputation, they had always topped her list before. But now, unbidden, other things appeared: laughter, honesty, the feeling of Emma's small hand in hers, the way Michael looked at her as if she were something precious rather than something useful. The custody hearing was set for a Tuesday morning in early spring. The day before, Eliza received a text from Michael that simply read, "Emma's asking for you." Nightmare about her mom. She shouldn't go. Every professional instinct screamed against it. But at midnight, she found herself knocking softly on Michael's door, a stuffed unicorn tucked under her arm, a peace offering for a frightened child. Emma was curled up in her father's lap on the couch, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. When she saw Eliza, she launched herself across the room. "You came." "Of course I did," Eliza said, holding the little girl close. "Bad dreams, huh?" Emma nodded against her shoulder. "Mom said she's taking me away to live in Hollywood. But I don't want to go. I want to stay with Daddy. And you." Eliza's eyes met Michael's over Emma's head, and the raw vulnerability she saw there nearly undid her. This wasn't just about legal strategies anymore. This was about a little girl's heart, and, if she was honest with herself, her own. After Emma finally fell back asleep, Michael walked Eliza to the door. "Thank you," he said simply. "For coming. For everything." "Michael, she began, but he shook his head. "Not tonight. Not when everything's so uncertain. But when this is over, whatever happens, we need to talk about what comes next." The courthouse was intimidating, all marble and echoes. Eliza sat behind Michael and his attorney, close enough to pass notes but far enough to maintain the illusion of professional distance. Vanessa arrived late, dressed as if for a photo shoot rather than a custody hearing, her boyfriend conspicuously absent. The proceedings began predictably enough: opening statements, character witnesses for Michael, carefully curated social media posts from Vanessa showing her Mother of the Year moments, all posted in the 3 weeks since she'd reappeared in Emma's life. But then came the surprise that no one had anticipated: Vanessa's boyfriend appeared after all, but not as a witness for her. "Mr. Reynolds," the judge addressed him, "you understand you're testifying against Ms. Carter's interests in this case?" The man, older, distinguished, clearly uncomfortable, nodded. "I do, Your Honor. But I can't be part of this anymore. The reality show was my idea initially, but I never intended. Vanessa has been recording Emma without Michael's knowledge. Setting up situations to create drama. Last week, she deliberately told Emma that her father was thinking of sending her to boarding school, just to film the child's distress." The courtroom erupted. Vanessa's face contorted with rage as she lunged toward her now ex-boyfriend, having to be restrained by her own attorney. The judge called for order, but the damage was done. By the end of the day, not only had Michael been granted full custody, but Vanessa was facing potential criminal charges for her recording of a minor without parental consent. Outside the courthouse, as reporters clamored for statements, Michael pulled Emma and Eliza away from the chaos, leading them to a small park across the street. Emma, who had been unusually quiet throughout the proceedings, finally spoke. "Is Mom going to jail?" Michael knelt before his daughter, his hands gentle on her shoulders. "No, sweetheart. But she has some problems she needs to fix before she can be a good mom to you. Until then, it's just going to be us." Emma's small face scrunched in thought. "And Eliza too?" Michael's eyes found Eliza's, a question in them that made her heart race. "That's up to Eliza," he said softly. The night before the hearing, Emma asked Eliza to help with her homework, a family tree. The blank space where Emma had written "Mom" broke something open inside Eliza. As they sat at the kitchen table, Michael watching them with unguarded tenderness, Eliza made her decision. Some things were worth risking everything for. The courtroom fell silent as Emma's mother failed to appear for the 3rd time. The judge's ruling was clear: full custody would remain with Michael. Outside on the courthouse steps, as Emma danced in circles around them, Michael turned to Eliza. "I can't offer you corner offices or business-class flights," he said quietly. "But I can promise that you'll never doubt you're loved every single day." Eliza looked at the man and child before her, this unexpected family that had appeared when she thought everything meaningful was behind her. "I spent my whole life chasing the wrong definition of success," she whispered. "I don't want impressive. I want real." The months that followed weren't easy. Eliza left the prestigious firm, turning down their grudging offer to stay if she would maintain appropriate boundaries. James finally signed the divorce papers when he realized there was no more leverage to be gained. Vanessa made one more attempt at contact before disappearing again, this time leaving behind a letter for Emma that Michael carefully saved for when she was older. Eliza's new law practice started small, just her and a paralegal in a converted Victorian house with bay windows and creaky floors. She specialized in family law, particularly cases involving children caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts. The pay was less, the hours often longer, but each night when she returned to the home she now shared with Michael and Emma, she felt a sense of purpose that no corner office had ever given her. There were adjustments, of course. Emma tested boundaries, as children do, especially with a new parental figure. Michael sometimes retreated into himself when the weight of single parenthood became too much. Eliza had moments of doubt, wondering if she'd traded one form of identity for another without taking time to figure out who she really was. But there were beautiful moments too. Emma's 8th birthday party, where she proudly introduced Eliza to her friends as "my bonus mom." The weekend they spent building a treehouse together, all three of them covered in splinters and paint. The night Michael proposed, not with a diamond ring but with a family photo album he'd been secretly compiling, the last page reading simply, "Will you make this official?" 6 months later, Eliza opened her own family law practice in a converted Victorian house with a garden where Emma could play. Her former assistant, now forgiven but not forgotten, became her first client when she needed help leaving her own toxic relationship. Life wasn't perfect, Michael's startup had growing pains, Emma sometimes still asked difficult questions about her birth mother, and Eliza occasionally missed the adrenaline of corporate law. But each night, as they gathered around the dinner table, a family created by choice rather than obligation, Eliza knew she had found something far more valuable than what she'd lost. Sometimes the greatest peace comes not from achieving your plans but from discovering that life had better ones all along. Where are you watching this story from? I'd love to know in the comments below. If this journey of finding family in unexpected places touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Every week, we share real stories of courage and transformation that remind us all that it's never too late to rewrite your story and find the love you truly deserve.